Hello, everyone. I'm Todd Schrock with Blue Jackets Communications. Welcome. Thanks for being here this afternoon. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for some of your persistence, Whitney. Exciting day for us as an organization. How things will work today, in a moment, I'll introduce John Davidson. JD's got a few remarks he'd like to make, and then he's going to introduce Don Waddell. After Donnie's remarks, we'll turn it over to your questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. And for Don's benefit, if you could introduce yourself, who you represent, and he'll take your questions. We may have some Zoom questions at the end. After that, we'll do a group photo with everyone, and then Don will be available for one-on-ones. So with that, I'll bring up JD.
Thank you, Todd. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming by today. I've had the privilege of knowing Don Waddell for many, many years, and there is no one that I have greater respect or affection for in this business. When we made the decision to look for a general manager, we wanted someone with experience in building a team that wins at a high level within a culture that is strong and sustainable. Don understands how to connect people and values the bond between a team and its fans. And there is no greater example of that than the bond between the Blue Jackets and the fifth line. I have great passion for this organization, for this city, and for the best fans in the world. It has been my honor to serve as president of hockey operations for this club for the better part of the last 12 seasons, last 12 years. While I will continue to be a Blue Jacket, it is my privilege to pass that baton on to Don, and on behalf of our ownership group led by John P. McConnell and our president, Mike Priest, to welcome him, his wife, Cheryl, and their family to Columbus and the Blue Jackets family. Welcome, Don. Step right up. It's yours.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for coming out today. It's an honor to be here. The last time I was in this building, I got my butt kicked by you guys, last game of the season, so I remember it well. First, I want to make sure I thank John H. and the McConnell family. The word always on the street is this organization treats everybody first class, and they run everything first class. And I've only been in here this morning, and just everything you see, obviously, is an eye test, and it passes very well. Mike Priest, who's been a friend of mine in this business, being competitors, but also being on the business side, marketing. I've got to know Mike over the years. I have the most respect for him and what he does. And obviously, I thank you for bringing me here. And of course, as JD said, when you've been in this business for a long time, you cross paths with a lot of people. Some people you remember, some people you forget. This guy, you'll never forget. He's got me by a few years, but I remember watching him as a goalie, then a broadcaster, and then management and everything else he's done. So John will be a great source for me as we make this happen. The thing for me, you're going to ask some questions. I've been here since 11 o'clock today. So some of the questions you're going to answer, I'm going to need some time on. But I wouldn't take this kind of opportunity at this point in my career unless I felt like we could make a difference. And there's a lot of good pieces here. The previous management has done a good job with drafting. We got some challenges, of course. That's why they bring you in. But it's not like this is an organization that's going to take a long time to fix. We got to make strategic moves, but also moves that are going to make our hockey club not just better today, but for the future. This isn't a one trying to make a playoffs, make it 1 year, make a run, and then be on the outside for a long time. So, the great thing is there's a lot of smart hockey people in this organization. We're going to count on everybody to be part of these discussions, and as we make decisions as a group, we'll get this figured out and make everybody here in Columbus proud of the Blue Jackets. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll turn it over to your questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Okay. Craig Mers on the right there.
Hi, Don. Craig Mers from NHL.com. You're 65 years old, and I was going to ask you if you had the energy to do this undertaking again, but I'm the same age as you, so I'll forget about that. But you could retire now. You're at an age you could do that. What's your motivation?
Well, first, as my wife sits here, which I failed to mention, I'll have to start there. Cheryl, 38 years we've been together. I have a line, but I won't use it today. And my two friends that came, good friends of mine, Michael and Ryan, they know I'm driven. I know time doesn't really mean anything, but I'm a 5 a.m. person. I love my mornings, but I get so much passion for what I do and what I think is possible here. So you're right, 'cause right off in the sunset, but I'm not even close to that. I got lots of energy, and again, I go back to I would never come to this potential opportunity if I didn't think there was going to be a great outcome. And with people, as I said, the staff around here and JD and that to count on, we're going to do that here.
We'll go front left, Don.
Adam King, 10 TV. I know you're just getting settled in with the job, but I'm curious, with the coaching staff, have you had a chance to meet with Pascal, and kind of what is your plan moving forward there?
About Pascal for 3 minutes downstairs, and Steve McCarthy was down there. Steve actually played for me in Atlanta many moons ago. So I will, I'm here now, so I will spend time, the amateur staff's meeting right now for the draft. Over the next week and 2 weeks, I'll meet with everybody, including Pascal. Again, I only know him as a coach watching his team. It's the first time I ever actually met him. So I need some time with him and the staff to figure out, we got a lot to get done here. We got the draft coming up, we got free agency. Obviously the coaching, get everything settled is vitally important, but it's going to take some time. So I don't want to put timetables. I can put timetables on the draft. We know that's going to happen at the end of June. We know free agency is going to start July 1st. The other things, as we work through them with the group here, we'll get some answers.
We'll go to Whitney in the third row right.
Hi, Don. Whitney Harding, NBC4. Welcome to Columbus. We're
Thank
very
you.
happy that you're here. Right now, you have signed on to be president of hockey operations and general manager. Are both of those roles? Are you going to continue on, or are you going to bring in another general manager? And along with that, when you took over as GM in Carolina, that was when the team really started to find itself. What is it about that position that you like so well?
Yeah, no, the plan is for to stay as president of hockey operations and GM. It's I think it's a great role and great challenge. When we took over in Carolina, it was same as here. We had some pieces. It wasn't like we had to blow it all up. We had some pieces. We had to draft good and sign some key free agents. So, I thought about that actually this last couple of days of how many players. I think when we took over Carolina, I think there's 5 guys left now after 6 years, maybe 6. So there was natural turnover, but those 5 or 6 guys that we had were pretty core guys, and I see the same thing here. So very similar. It's just you got to get some breaks. You guys here had unbelievable amount of injuries last year, which you can't control, but you need some luck on your side. But I think with some of the young players that have already been drafted that are either turning pro or already pro, we got a pretty good start here.
We'll go
Thank you.
Sorry, Don. Far left here, Joe.
Hi, Don. I'm Joe from NBC4 here. As you move from being the general manager and director of hockey ops at Carolina to the same position here, why are you here? What attracts you to this challenge as it, in a way, feels like a lateral move?
Well, I don't know if it's lateral. I had a little bit more going on there. Luckily, Mike runs a great business here, and I don't have to worry about that part of it. But, there's things that happen that through a course. I was there 10 years, 6 years as a general manager at the end. the best way I can always say is you just feel at times it's time to make a change. And, you know, when I made a decision to step down there, I wasn't sure exactly what my next move was going to be. And I knew Columbus obviously had an opening, but I didn't know if Columbus would have interest in me, and I didn't know if I'd have interest in Columbus. And so once I stepped down, I had contact from 3 teams, and Columbus was the first conversation I had with Mike was very enlightening because I know Mike, and so when I came in here, the decision for me was easy, and then they had to make a decision from Mike and the ownership to move forward. So I think it was just time for me to move on. I don't really have, you know, we're in the middle of a development there, a $1 billion development, and running the hockey team in the building and everything. It was just, it wasn't the work, it was just, I just felt like I need to move on.
Okay, we'll go to Kellyanne, center row, third row center.
Hey, Don, Kellyanne States with ABC6. Welcome to Columbus. What is the timeline of your transition into this new role? And you have experience turning Carolina around to being a playoff contender. Do you see or identify the pieces the Blue Jackets have to be able to do the same thing?
Yeah, I hate to just give you that answer. I need a little time. You know, I know the roster because, you know, they've been the guys that have been in the NHL. We know the players. You know, we all know the NHL players. I don't know the players coming up. I mean, obviously Cleveland's on a great run right now in the American League. You know, I know some of the names, but I couldn't tell you that they're ready to play next year. Now we got a great staff here that runs that, Chris and with Nasher and that. These guys will be able to fill me in a little bit more in time. But, you know, when I look at the NHL roster right now, there's some things we got to figure out. You know, it's pretty obvious. But there's enough good things there that if we can figure out the weak links of why our record was last year, which I think we can fix that pretty quick. So that's what's I feel good about.
Dave Metzel, second row center.
Hi, Don. Dave Metzel, Valley Sports Ohio. Welcome to Columbus.
Thank you.
At some point during this process, JD used the term disruptor. Need a disruptor, a guy who can come in and change this culture a little bit. Just meeting you, but you don't strike me right now as a disruptor. Do you have that element in your personality, and do you feel like that's needed here to change the culture with this franchise?
Yeah, well, JD and I have talked a lot, obviously, through this process. And, you know, I always say I got to treat the input that he's given me has been outstanding, and so it's in my mind. But I also have to come in with an open mind to how the organization's being run. Do I think, first of all, one person's not fixing everything. You got to have a team of people on the same page. You'll hear me say this so many times about if we're not pulling in the same direction, we're never going to have success. No individuals in hockey have success without the team having success, and that's critical to me. And we'll find out if we have any of those, they won't last. I guarantee you that. But we'll you know, culture is, I always say, an overused word. It's important and critical, but you can't just say, okay, we're going to have this culture. It doesn't work that way. You know, it takes time, and everybody's got to be on board. And you get everybody on board, and I'm just talking about, you know, you go right down to the locker room, the trainers, the equipment managers, obviously the coaches, the players, and the staff that's surrounding the team. If you're not on the same page, it's not going to work. And if you're all on the same page, it just builds, and it's just that's critical to our success. I can tell you right now, I think about that all the time. Critical to our success is putting us in the right place and right frame of mind with everybody.
Ian
Don,
here,
Ian
left.
Phillips with CBUS Sports, and I was just wondering, looking at this opportunity, looking at the job, what excites you the most?
Well, probably what I said before. You know, with the players that are currently on the roster and knowing how this organization, runs, and everybody that's been here, and obviously JD again. I've been talking to him a lot, so sorry if I use his name all the time. But he, the ownership's there's no excuse from an ownership standpoint. They give you all the tools, all the resource to make it work, and I think that's a driver too, because of we've been here since 11 o'clock, and the things that we've seen in the less than 2 hours, and how they do things is just, it's mind-boggling because I'm not used to that. But so I think the combination of knowing that we can win and how everybody feels about this organization. You got people in this organization. Todd's been there, 24 years? I mean, people don't stay if it's not a good organization. So, to me, we got so many good things here. We just got to go make it happen.
Go to Brian Hedger in the back right.
Hi, Don. Welcome to Columbus. Brian Hedger with the Columbus Dispatch. Your NHL executive career started, I think it was short-term in Detroit, your hometown, moved on to Atlanta, and then obviously the time in Carolina as well, and now you're in Columbus. I'm wondering, those are, the last three are, I guess what you'd call non-traditional hockey markets. They're not original six, that kind of thing. Is that just the way things kind of played out in your career, or is there something about kind of, succeeding in those type of markets that attracts your attention?
That's a great question because I started my first franchise in San Diego in the IHL. I was there 5 years. Then went to Orlando and started another franchise and made a pit stop in Detroit for a year as assistant GM and won the Cup. So that was the easy stop. And then I got hired by Ted Turner in 1998 to start the Atlanta franchise. And so after starting the two minor league franchises, it was the exact same thing he had to do at the NHL, just a lot more people, a lot more dollars. So I was given that opportunity. But I joke after I went to San Diego that I'm from Michigan and I'm a north-south guy. So I don't go too far east or too far west. So I went from Orlando to Detroit to Atlanta to stop in Pittsburgh for a couple of years to Raleigh, back to Columbus. So I've kind of kept this roadmap north and south, which I've been very fortunate to be able to do.
I'll go Adam here on the left, second row, Don.
The thought process around here has been every year that this team is really close. It's got a great young core. Curious, from the outside perspective, I mean, if you just go back 2 months ago, if someone said, what is the Columbus Blue Jackets organization in your mind, what did you think of this team?
Well, we knew they were going to play hard. They weren't going to give up at all. And probably toward the end of the year, they had so many players out, missing some of the higher level skill players, but because we had played here the last game, but we had played here sometime in March. I don't remember the exact date. It was a similar type game. We won the game there, or Raleigh did. Anyways, Carolina did. But team always played hard, and the kids. There's a number of kids. I call them kids because they're young, but that we always talked about that make a difference, and they also played hard. You got the hard team here to play against with some of the guys, the Brunsons and Oliviers of the world. So that's what I say. There's a lot of injuries that happened this year, of course. We got to get some of the younger players to take that next step and continue to develop our kids that we have going right now. But I think, again, I'm just repeating myself that I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think we had any chance, that's for sure.
Go Craig Mers, third row right.
Okay.
You have experience with an outdoor game down in Carolina. Columbus gets there first on March 1st. What can you tell the people of Columbus, the fans, the players, the organization about that experience, and how can that help a franchise?
It's besides winning the Stanley Cup, it's probably the best experience I've ever had in the National Hockey League. Our fans absolutely, it was off the charts. I can't say enough things about this. It's something that you're going to get to do once in a great while. And I know our fans, we had a little different. We had 60,000 seats, and the league gave us 30,000 seats there, and it was less than a day before we were sold out. And they ended up selling all the tickets. I know you got a bigger stadium here, but I can't say enough good things about how the fans are going to enjoy that day. The NHL puts on great events, and with the Blue Jackets staff here assisting, it'll be an outstanding event. But everything's going to go perfect. The only thing we can't control is Mother Nature. But it cooperated well for us in Raleigh, so I'm sure it will here in Columbus.
Anyone else? Okay, let me see. Go to the Zoom. I think
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions here on Zoom. Mark Scheig with the Hockey Writers. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Todd. Hey, Don. Welcome to Columbus. Were you actively involved with the Carolina draft plan? Will there be any restrictions to you being on the draft floor with the Blue Jackets at all?
Nope. When I spoke with Tom Dundon a week ago on that Friday and I resigned, it was a clean, no restrictions whatsoever.
And one more for you, just about the fans. I know you asked about them a little bit, but they've been through a lot, and since the franchise has been around, we know that there's no overnight fixes. But what is the message to the fans that are kind of hoping to see a winner sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think if I understand the whole question, expectations are something that we will talk about at some point. Right now, we want to talk about how we're going to build this thing through the next few months. Fans, I mean, I've watched it here. The support that this community has shown. All I can say is with our team here that we got going on, and we're going to continue to build off of, we will be a better team. Ask me that same question in 3 months, and I'll tell you how much better we'll be.
Next, we'll go to Guillaume Lefrancois. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Don. I have a couple of questions as well. First of all, regarding Pascal Vincent, do you have a specific timeline as to when you'd like to decide whether or not you keep him on board, and like what criteria are you looking for a head coach?
Yeah, as I said earlier, Francois, that I know we have the draft, I know we have free agency, I know those are tight timelines. In the next few weeks, I definitely will spend a lot of time with Pascal as much as I can. No timetable on any decision with anybody on our staff. You don't walk into a new place where people have been here and make changes without having a reason to change. So until we do that, I'm not going to lay a timetable out on it.
Okay, and just regarding Carolina, the timing of a head coach signing an extension and then the general manager leaving is pretty unique. Could you just shed some light regarding this and whether, like, what was your level of involvement in that situation?
Well, the level of involvement was I did it, so no doubt about that. It's just, that's a different situation with Rod. Rod played there as a player, won a cup there, family lives there. Didn't want to go anyplace. He wanted to stay in Carolina, so regardless of what was in the back of my mind when I was doing this, because we started doing it back in January, which I had no thoughts I was going to leave at the end of the year. It was, I was the general manager, and I wanted to make sure the owner wanted him to stay, he wanted to stay, so I had to fulfill what I do as the general manager, make sure I made that happen, which I did. So it was, again, we worked on that. We had it pretty much done months ago, and then we got closer to the playoffs, and he wanted me to get all his assistant coaches done. And so that's why the timing, we just waited till we decided we weren't going to do it during the playoffs. So we'd do it announce it after the end of the season.
Okay, we've got another one. Eric Duhatchik. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you. Don, I just had a question referring back to your previous organization. Working for an unorthodox owner like Tom Dundon, how challenging was that? And did that out-of-the-box thinking that the organization had to do benefit you in any way or help you grow as a manager?
Well, first, if you look at sports in general, the new owners that are coming in the league, most of them are a lot more, first of all, they're younger than ever, because the amount of money that these people obviously have done well in their career to get into sports, and they think differently. And the one thing I'll say about Tom and I mean, we worked together for 6 years, and we had lots of discussions, we had some debates, but we were always supportive of each other when the decision was made, whether it was his decision, his feelings or mine. But one thing with Tom that I learned though too is just think outside the box. We get stuck sometimes in our mind, and again, I was running the business side too, but he always said, maybe there's a better way to do that. And the same when you come on your team, maybe there's a better way to build your team in that. So, Tom and I are on good terms, obviously, because that was asked to me. used to talk to him 8 to 10 times when I worked for him. I still talk to him a few times a day when I don't work for him. So it's all good though. And the one thing I do feel good about, I'm leaving him from a business standpoint and a hockey team standpoint in a good spot. So that makes me feel good about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
All right. Did you have another one, Guillaume?
No, I'm fine. I just forgot to raise my hand. Sorry.
No worries, thank you. Any more last questions here before we break off for one-on-ones? Go ahead, Hedge.
I guess just in general, I mean, you've addressed this partly in several questions, but when you look at what the job is that's ahead of you, I mean, it seems like there's a lot to get done, a lot to do. Just how eager are you to get started on that? And is it a little bit daunting when you look at all the stuff that needs to be done here?
No, I've kind of mapped out the last, since I knew this was going to happen, a roadmap of how things have to happen. Now that I'm here physically, which other than a day or two here or there that I need to sell a house, or my wife will sell a house, I'll be here now the rest of the summer. So it's not overtasking. It's time. It's time. And like I said, I got to spend a lot of time with the staff here. Again, when you come in a new situation and I see what I see from the outside that I think are strengths and maybe they're weaknesses, I could be completely wrong, until I get down and meet with everybody. So that's going to be the fun part for me, is getting to know everybody. And, if we have to make some changes someplace, we'll make those decisions and move on.